We're preparing to go live streaming. Well, welcome to our chapel service. My name is Reverend Mary Huber, pastor of CCWH, which stands for the Community Center for Holistic Healing. This division of it is called the Community Chapel of Holistic Healing. We are a non-denominational, nonprofit spiritual fellowship founded in 1977 by Reverend Michelle Luson, a mystic and channel for multidimensional consciousness, which we carry here in this organization, thanks to her. She, very early on, many years ago, had an apparition of Swami Sivananda, who appeared to her and asked that she start this organization and place it in the Washington, D.C. area to be a light for the nation's capital. We are here to aid in personal and global spiritual transformation. We have chapel services twice a month, which you will hopefully tune into. And we have distance healing that we deliver through our many healers who work with the prayer list, which we have. You can find those on our website. And so now when we start off, for those who are on Zoom, I'm asking you to put yourself on mute. And thank you very much. And before we start, we always begin with the recitation of the faith, hope, and charity affirmations, which we call in our organization the three healers. These were designed to help us to align ourselves, body, mind, and spirit. These were channeled by Reverend Michelle Luson, very early on in the 1970s when we first started, and we've been using them ever since as our foundational affirmations. So you might want to say them along with me as I'm reciting them out loud. They're very powerful. I believe in the spiritual existence of myself as a perfect image of the divine creator. In this reflection that is my physical embodiment, I have faith in the supreme guidance of my soul for my balance, my needs, and my opportunities. Outside of myself, there are also perfect images, and nothing can delude my thinking otherwise. Hope affirmation, acknowledging my faith in the omnipresence of my divinity. I hope for realization, awareness, and acknowledgement of the existence of the great I am within myself. Charity affirmation. In understanding faith and knowing hope, I pledge my actions, my desires, and my thoughts to the performances of myself on the physical planes of the earth, to honor, to love, and to enlighten all that is a reflection of the divine outside myself, so that my perfection is imaged back to my Creator. So help me God. So tonight, our topic is on the keys to the kingdom, or the keys to the kingdom. Thank you, Randy. In Matthew 20, chapter 22, verse 36 to 40, it says, this was asked of Jesus, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" He said to them, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments," unquote. To understand the keys to the kingdom, we begin with the law, because not only the prophets, but we too are dependent on this. Regardless of what people have been taught or believe, this is true of all humanity. We are all under higher law. When we understand the universal laws governing us and adhere to them, we are progressing on the spiritual path as we should. Our progression on this path will lead us to the kingdom of heaven. Jesus made many mentions of the kingdom of heaven throughout his instructions to the people. These references were always embedded in parables because Jesus taught in parables. He made this a relationship to a spiritual progression. That's what parables were, and were best understood by the people at that time in story form. Metaphors also allow for multiple levels of interpretations of what is being communicated. In this way, Jesus, a master teacher, was able to teach various levels of consciousness at the same time. He spoke only in parables to fulfill what had been said through the prophet. Quote, "I will open my mouth in parables. I will announce what has laid hidden from the foundations of the world." Unquote. Throughout time, people have been advised, taught, and coached by many masters who came into the world to help evolving humanity. All of the principles of higher understanding were laid out all along the way. The general denseness of consciousness existing throughout humanity had to be rescued using this method. Each soul in embodiment has free will and the ability to choose to obey the law of God or not. These choices have created the conditions under which each individual lives. The kingdom of heaven for each person is the return to the Christ consciousness within self. One of the statements or sayings referencing higher law is that we use here is as above, so below. This higher, lower integration has many implications for refining and balancing our human nature. Now, from Michelle Lusant's channeling, we find this, quote, "The human being has distinctly two natures, comprised from two energy systems within themselves. One nature is the spiritual or energy patterning from the soul. The other is the physical nature or the conditioning of the human being's personality from its genetic earth plane roots. When the two patterns become as one, creating intelligence, creating capability or movement, and creating the opportunity to manifest form in the material realms of matter, then the individual is imaging a synthesis of higher and lower planes of consciousness in one." Unquote. Don't know how many people are understanding or have heard of Dr. Hurtak and his book, The Keys of Enoch. And in that, he explains our alignment with spirit and reality, and how everything really in the universe is related, interrelated. And although this is a very cerebral read, sometimes difficult to understand, it is very enlightening. Because it has many implications, I'm not able to bring too much of his work in here. It's complex, but I'd like to refer to just a few things that he's put out. There is a relationship of universe to universe and universe to many universes. And when you think of it, you can see from this understanding that the plan of development everywhere requires a higher mind. Higher mind is seen as Lord, or seen as King, or seen as Messiah. Now we are part of an open-ended universe. We are part of an open-ended mind. And being part of an open-ended mind, therefore, we are part of an open-ended universe. That means that we are constantly growing, that there is always going to be more and more creation, more and more opportunities for us to become more of who we are and go way beyond that. So there is the understanding in his book that gives a classical kind of angle to what we understand and how we can relate to that in more of a mental way. Now, the knowledge of your living mind comes from your living mind, which becomes open-ended. And he speaks a lot about having the open-ended mind. And if you realize that when you deal with people in the world, in your life, you're going to realize that the only way you can get through to somebody is if they have an open mind, because otherwise the opposite is that they have preconceived ideas and they're not going to listen to you anyway. But the open mind is willing to grow and learn and include possibilities. Now, the higher orders of intelligence understand that the Messiah is where the redemptive energies of the body of light are manifested. When they manifest in you, you are part of the collective Messiah. If mankind is to work with higher creative mind, which is our higher self, which is the God mind, he must comprehend the creative mind as something beyond the anthropomorphic image of a three-dimensional God. Evolution from the physical body of creation to the higher intelligence involves a deep understanding of life as multidimensional evolution, where individuality does not count, only the continuity of the human species. So to that end, the physical body must be initiated into the light before it can receive the over-self body of light, which is the true I am presence identity within us. Now, this means that all 7 chakra centers must first be working in perfect harmony and completely aligned with the template of light, which is the 8th chakra, the connecting link with our overself, working with the Christ body of light. Once mankind has gone beyond his physiological limitations of self and desires not only to serve his fellow creation and the Father, that means he or she has purified self from carnal predilections and are able to manifest love sufficient to receive the outer garments of light. That's when all of that can occur. And in that, we have the picture of what the Lords of Light are trying to teach humanity. And in her texts references he said it goes through the Torah Or, which is the collective revealed scriptures of Yahweh for this age, and through the truths that were set forth in many of the true writings in the world. He refers to the pyramid hymns. He refers to the Bhagavad Gita and the Chinese and Tibetan text of light. Through this assimilation, mankind becomes cosmic man who can freely participate in other forms of cosmic creation. The leadership of cosmic creation unfolds through embodiments of the divine and manifest as what is known in India as Atman and Krishna and the like in different cultures and different religions. Each one of these embodiments of divine light represent the cosmological pyramid of the divine overself coming into conjunction with the human biopyramid in the physical universe. Now, in other words, Michelle taught this way back when. When two pyramids of light, or two triangular forms, if you want to see it just as triangles, but they're actually pyramids, come together and they interlace, and one is coming down with the apex pointing down and the other one with the apex up. And when they cross and they completely join, it is known as the Star of David. And Dr. Hertek said, when this happens, a new star universe of intelligence is born. Accordingly, the I am of the higher universe attaches itself to the I am of the lower universe through the Lords of Light, who bring this unification into one light harmony known as the House of David. So this interlacing of the pyramid is where we are looking to go. The Jewish traditions have always known that way back when and understood it. And that's why their symbol is the Star of David. But it doesn't belong to one race or one creed. It's a universal symbol. And it's a very important symbol because the Star of David, the House of David, represents the integration of higher and lower selves completely integrated, having made what we call the resurrection. We have arisen from our earthly sojourn, we have connected to our divine, and we are entirely linked in there. The House of David is known as the great house of peace of God. So that as we are trying to develop that lower pyramid, pulling that together, this alignment that we keep talking about as alignment of body, mind, emotions, and spirit, we speak about that frequently in metaphysics. That's our job to do that. Our job is to create that lower pyramid. The upper pyramid is already created. This is the perfection of our own higher self and our own being. It's always there waiting for us to get our act together, so to speak, on this plane and find those balances within. So at this point, I guess we need to be a little bit more practical, and I would like to refer to Dr. Wayne Dyer's book, The Erroneous Zones. Now, this is how we're getting that lower pyramid together. And his reference is in his book, The Erroneous Zones. Now, this is an older book. It's nothing that hasn't been, I think it's been out for 15, maybe 20 years. So you may have read it. But it's worthwhile going back and reading it again. And in this book, he's speaking about the self-defeating behaviors that we have as human beings. What are we trying to overcome? What are we trying to perfect here so we can get that lower pyramid constructed? so that it is worthy of God. Well, these self-defeating behaviors, the poor choices, the lack of good judgment, the preconceived delusions or belief systems that are based on just perceptions and probably erroneous ones, the guilt, the worries, the fears that trap us into a lower dimensional thinking and emotional pattern that define our life in the human state when it is not evolved. And his book is about overcoming that. So we're going to skip to the last chapter like we do when we read some good novels sometime. You want to see what the end result is. I think we need to look at what the end result is. We learn that what does a person look like when he or she has rid themselves of all those errors, the erroneous zones, as he calls them? And you can't speak to the entire chapter, but he says that the people are very different from the run-of-the-mill people. Well, they might look like everybody else, but they possess distinct qualities, none of which are based on racial, socioeconomic, or sexual preferences or conditions. It has nothing to do with their roles in life, their job descriptions, their geographic location, their educational levels, or even their financial status. The qualities he lists throughout this chapter are quite extensive, and I'm going to share only a portion of with you today, and you're going to certainly recognize all of this, but I like the way he presents it. And he said, first and foremost, they love life. People who have this quality about them, who are not invested in any of the worldly errors. They love life. They waste no time complaining or wishing that things were better or different. And since they like life, they get an awful lot out of it. Secondly, they are free of guilt, and they are not people who worry. They live in the present and deal with things as they happen. Next, they are strikingly independent. They value privacy and have mutual respect for the rights of others to make their own decisions. They take responsibility for their own decisions and their own life. And maybe the most important of all, they know how to laugh. A sense of humor is actually a saving grace for many people. People who can see the lighter side of life and even laugh at themselves have a presence in the world very different than those who come down upon themselves and others in a harsh and blaming and accusing way. These are people who are delightful to be with. These healthy, independent people do not know how to be threatened. They are doers in a positive way and create positive changes in situations requiring change. There are so many other admirable characteristics, but what's the overall end product of those who are free from erroneous zones? Those with these qualities do not chase after happiness. They live life fully, and happiness is the end result. The keys to the kingdom are within every person's reach. No one comes into this world ill-equipped. For each weakness, there is a strength within to overcome it. The desire to seek the divine within, the desire to advance spiritually, the application then of self to achieve that end means one needs to take responsibility for their own actions and actively pursue all avenues which show promise of finding who you truly are and how to rid self of the whatever undesirable traits that might still reside. Michelle channeled, again, this is some time back in the earlier 2000s. She channeled this: spirituality is becoming who one is. Then, where one is enlightening their environment and all who come in contact with them, so that their part in the world begins the illumination process on a one-to-one until it becomes group enlightenment. Whenever you make an advance spiritually, you embody more and more of the greater light of your spirit. I started with the Bible, and I'd like to go back there and talk about the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes in the Bible refer to blessings as taught by Jesus. They are the characteristics which will produce happiness. And the word Beatitudes comes from the Vulgate and the Greek word beati, which means happiness or even wealth. And the happiness and wealth that comes from spiritual alignment with the highest values of Christ consciousness always produce happiness and a wealth beyond anything physical. The treasures of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever we do to plant even the smallest seed of truth and light within ourselves produces great results. In Matthew chapter 13, verse 31, Jesus speaks of the mustard seeds. So you see, even from the smallest seed, a very large result can occur. If it's done with the right intention and persistent application of spiritual principles, you can be sure of the results. And in Matthew chapter 16, verse 19, when Jesus spoke to Peter, he was addressing us as well. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. This is the law. This is your daily reality. So, therefore, it is recommended: love God with all of your heart, with all of your mind, and with all of your soul. Once achieving that and understanding who you truly are, the second commandment, to love your neighbor as yourself, will produce the true peace in the world that is so badly needed today. I want to add a little note here, because back in when I was looking at some of the material from 2006, the channeling, I have just one page, but it was pretty packed for me. The other channeling on that page said, quote, but the negativity will, for a period of about 20 years between 2010 to 2030, be coming in waves, and there will be major loss of life and much devastation. So It is important now that these waves be held in abeyance, broken up, and in some cases, totally halted. Your prayers, which have been offered for peace, for understanding in the world, for the higher good of all, for the changes that are necessary, those are making a difference. We don't know how much that has of the original predictions have not happened because of these prayers and through change of attitude, change of behaviors, all that we would be looking for a better life within ourselves is making a dent in the world and making the world a different place than what could have been. So while we still see the world's problems today, without prayer, it would be immensely different. We are asked to continuously hold on to your light, to your center of being, and to have the faith, hope, and love in God's future plan for us and for all humanity. Use that key to the kingdom, and all will be well. Thank you. At this time, we're going to go on to our meditation.
Taking deep breaths in and deep breaths out. Slow and steady breaths. We find ourselves attuning to the downward pulling energy that is in our bodies and our fields. We send this energy down, becoming aware of the golden cord that connects the base of our bodies into the earth. We take a moment to really visualize this golden cord. We see it coming out of our energy fields, connecting to the earth. Through this cord, we are able to send out any heavier energies that no longer serve us. We send these energies out now. Pushing them down the cord, feeling them flow downwards into the earth. Where they can be transmuted and used by others. We feel also our very strong, steady, stable connection to the earth. And we feel a part of the earth's strength, the earth's solidity, the earth's stability become a part of us. Once we really feel that connection, we get a nice firm hold on those sensations, and we know we are grounded. Now we also become aware of the energy moving upwards in our bodies, in our fields, that stretches upwards towards the sky, towards heaven, and connects us with a silver cord upwards to the light of God, to the light of all that is, to the light of the universe. We take a moment to strongly picture the silver cord. We see it stretching through the tops of our heads, going up into the sky, directly to the light. We feel our own energies as they surge upwards, completing this connection. Sending our energies upwards, we also become aware of energy from spirit coming down to us. It may be coming through this silver cord, or it may feel different, almost as though it's showering down on us. But we feel this silver energy of heaven. We stretch up to meet it, and it comes down to meet us. We take a moment to really be aware of this connection. We are now grounded. We are now connected. We feel the profound balance of the gold and silver energies inside of us. The golden cord of the earth energies, and the silver cord of the heavenly energies, as they intertwine and merge seamlessly within us. We are grounded. We are connected. We are balanced. Next, we use these gold and silver energies to create a shield of light all around us, head to toe, right to left, forward to back. All around, we are surrounded by our shield of light. We invoke this shield even more strongly with the following words. Beloved, I am presence bright. Round me spread your shield of light. We are grounded. We are connected. We are protected. We find ourselves safe in our sacred place. It can be any place we choose, real or imagined, inside or outside, any place where we feel safe, where we feel a connection to spirit, to its guiding and healing powers. In this meditative state and place today, we will honor the energies of April, the traditional Feast of Fools, the ancient full moon of April. We begin by taking a healing, light-hearted perspective. In order to do this, we take a moment to picture our sacred space. We see what is around us. And then we picture it upside down. The floor becomes the ceiling. Anything in the room suddenly seems to be upside down. If our meditative space is outside, we do the same. We picture the sky being below us and the earth above. We picture any trees or plants being upside down, any animals, birds, insects. And we take a moment to really see everything in this place turned on its head. Everything is still here. Everything is still present. But it's turned a bit. We can see it from a different perspective. Now we have things go back right side up, the way they usually are. And taking deep breaths, we picture a mirror before us. We see ourselves in this mirror. And we find ourselves making a very small, very gentle, Mona Lisa type smile. Just a slight upturning of our lips, of our cheeks. We feel this smile as it forms on our faces. We see it reflected to us in our mirror. Similar to how the Mona Lisa appears, we are calm. We are serene. We are slightly amused. We are peaceful and happy. We take a moment more to sit with the gentle energies of this gentle smile. Next, taking deep breaths, we release our Mona Lisa smile. We may keep the mirror here in our meditative space, or we may send it away as we choose. But now we feel a great amount of universal energy that resides in our belly. Not only our physical bellies, but our energetic bellies. We feel it swirling around and around. At this time, it may be helpful to picture a Buddha or a similar statue with a big belly full of universal life force, full of cosmic creative energy, full of happiness and laughter and contentment. We take a moment to picture ourselves with the swirling, contented energy of this Buddha statue. We feel as the life force energy pours into it, greater and greater, stronger and stronger, growing our Buddha bellies of energy. Until we feel full of life, full of energy, full of contentment. We sit for a moment with this calm, content, full energy, anchoring us. Now, with our belly full of contented Buddha energy, we find ourselves thinking of a person, a situation, something in our life that may require a bit more of a contented, full feeling. We picture that situation in as much detail as we can. And we send some of this big Buddha belly energy towards it. We may send it through our hands or through our third eyes, or we may even feel that we're sort of beaming this energy to a person or place or situation from our bellies. Take a moment to send the energy out, being aware of the flow of energy and how it feels to you. Once you feel the situation is full of as much Buddha belly energy as it requires, you can stop sending out any energy. We give thanks to the Buddha energies. We honor them for their aid. We find ourselves going back to our gentle, relaxed, Mona Lisa smile. And we try to picture some situation or person or place that might upset us or cause any sort of strong negative emotions in us. We picture ourselves in such a situation, and we focus on maintaining, inwardly at least, our calm, peaceful, slightly amused Mona Lisa smile. We know we can hold on to that calm, contented smile. We can call it forth, inwardly at least, whenever we require it. We give thanks to the energy of our Mona Lisa smile. We find ourselves calm and relaxed here in our meditative space. Harkening back to when we turned everything upside down, we think of a person or a place or a situation where we might need a different perspective. And to that situation or person or place, we just send it the energy of being turned upside down, being turned a slightly different way, having a slightly, at least, different perspective. With this upside down energy, we may in fact get some new insights or some new messages, some new images regarding this person or place or situation. We become aware of those now. Once we feel we have received any messages meant for us, we give thanks to our meditative space, to our perspective, to our ability to change it. And giving thanks, now we take some more deep breaths. And we stay here in our meditative space, calm and relaxed, taking note of whatever surroundings are around us, or just being here, being calm, being quiet, being at peace. Thank you for taking this journey.
Well, I hope you have enjoyed our chapel services this evening, and I hope that you have also found our website, ccwh.com. And when you go there, you can find a drop-down menu labeled Get Involved. And there's a place there to make a contribution if we would be so grateful to receive. And while you're there, you may want to consider becoming a member. Our affirmations are found there, and as well as a place to request prayers for someone in need.
For 44 years, CCWH has been an amazing place for spiritual learning, growth, and value. We will continue to provide value that will enrich your spiritual journey. Donations big and small makes what we do possible. Please help us help you and others by making a donation today. Click here to visit ccwh.com. Thank you.